Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them so you can build it yourself. Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Collin Stewart, and today I'm joined by Brandon Healy. He's the VP of Sales and Growth at Hemlane, and we're going to talk about B2C Outbound. That is something I never thought I'd say on this podcast. This is going to be strange. It's going to be informative. It's going to be fun. Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. Long-time reader, long-time listener, first-time caller. So very excited. Yeah.
So I want to get into how B2C and why, because it still doesn't quite make sense to me. I want to start with an interesting stat you shared, which was you started with free, right? This was a freemium product. How did that go?
So the product's been around for 9 years, and it was paid SaaS platform the whole time. But here, it would have been about a year and a half ago, the exec team wanted to try saying, hey, can we widen the funnel of total inbound by having a free tool and at least having a free subscription level? And down in the United States, like we compete with tools, Zillow or Avail or RentReady or different tools like that. And so we're talking about a massive market where it's a massive amount of the United States that rents properties. I think that our addressable market's about 40 million units in the United States. And so competing at that scale with some of these massive platforms is how can you reduce the barrier to entry to be able to get people in? And so when I initially got started here this last summer, a lot of our marketing, a lot of our revenue engine and everything was like wide open, trying to attract this massive amount of audience at scale, trying to be able to primarily focus towards free. Let's get in here, use the software for free, place a tenant for free, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And over the last 6-8 months, it's been a big shift working to iterate and create a lot more efficiencies out of that and back towards a bit more of a traditional SaaS model.
Mm-hmm. And part of this, you dramatically reduced your cost to acquire a customer. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So when I got started, our CAC was something like $2,700 to acquire a customer. And wind forward now through a lot of pain, reshaping our messaging towards our premium paid features, our clear unique differentiators in the market, and also just really honing on who is it that we're trying to serve and who would we try to attract 1,000 or 10,000 of, and just boom, laser focused on that ICP. We've dropped our CAC down to about 1,300, so about 50% drop, which is huge. And we've also actually, believe it or not, our actual lead flow, because we're not trying to attract this massive top of funnel free, has dropped from something like 300 account signups per week to roughly 100. Yet our actual monthly recurring revenue that we're closing has increased by 20%. So we're actually closing more out of a third the work. And that efficiency improvement has been huge. And then meanwhile, building this cold outbound team alongside.
Before we get to specifically the outbound, what do you think was the biggest driver of getting that cost down?
I think that one of the things that happens when a company scales either too quick or too early is that I'd say there's a potential for mediocre content or mediocre clarity to really slip through. So I listened to this amazing discussion by, I think it's Mark Roberge, who is the previous CRO at HubSpot. And he talks about, hey, everybody focuses on product market fit. But to really scale, the first job is message market fit, right? I love the awareness in your eyes, because people who know this is the weapon. And the reality is that if it's the case that you see a massive injection of cash into a marketing system and you do not see a similar ratio rate closing behind it of qualified customers, what it means is that your messaging that you're pushing at scale is not ready to scale. So you do not have message market fit with those pieces. And so this became very clear. I joined in July. There was some massive marketing campaigns that had started April, May, June into July. And I took a look at it and I was like, okay, yeah, we got a lot of leads, but this is a lot of smoke, no fire. Like this, we are not closing anything. This is garbage. This is people with low buyer intent, people with low willingness to pay. people who are interested in a free product because it's a free product. This is not sustainable in any meaningful way. And so as a result, I pump up our CEO's tires quite regularly, Dana Dunford. She is just very willing to listen to sharp analysis and be, hey, this is what the data says. We need to stop this now. And we just shut the ad spend off. We just rethought it out, rewrote all of our marketing campaigns, rewrote all of our ads, changed our targeting, remapped it to our highest paid customers, you name it, and then just started feeding it back into the engine and slowly creeping it up and doing thorough iterative testing. And as a result, all of a sudden it was like, hey, all the leads are good. What's going on?
Wow. When you attract your best customers, everything's easier.
Isn't that amazing? And,
wow.
And I think that especially in the B2C play, because the competition is huge and the platform movement is so massive in terms of the competitors. If you think about like a company like Zillow that we regularly have to rub shoulders with, they don't do any of the actual property management that we do. But the scale of some of these unicorn-sized companies, and if you're the up-and-comer, you better have your messaging on point. So anyhow, that was, I'd say that'd be a quick review of what is it that we did. It's like we rethought and rewrote everything, and things have gotten just measurably better.
So I feel like everybody who's listening is get them to tell you the secret sauce. But I know we talked about, you can't tell me the secret sauce. But my brain, I can't stop looking at playbook and secrets or data source and secret sauce and going, how can I drug him and get this good information out of him? Because obviously, if you could only ever email or call somebody who's in pain, that'd be incredible. This is like Minority Report level stuff.
And you know what? I think that there's triggers for every SaaS product that are associated with data that are easier or harder. And if you're trying to be able to connect with that North Star metric, I would say that there are unscalable ways to access that data. And then there is hopefully a scalable way. But the scalable is a lot of iteration to be able to get there. But I will say, even the ways that we access our data is fragile. So we're constantly looking for new models. We're constantly looking for new sources and developing new partnerships and things like that for more conventional access to lists. So we didn't just hit a home run on this one model and, oh, thank God, this is it. We are constantly trying new lists, and we have to, because what if the way that we're doing it breaks? Well, and it has broken. When it has broken, we've had to switch lists. We've had to switch sources and things like that. So it's very challenging. Yeah, very challenging.
Totally.
Yep.
Let's get into the playbook. I wrote a couple notes to follow up with you afterwards, but I'd love to understand. It sounds like it's a very call-heavy playbook. So are they sending any emails, or is it just folks crushing dials?
Literally, we are just crushing dials. That's all that it is. And we've iterated our approach and our messaging to try to be able to, again, differentiate ourselves from the conventional options that are out there. It's, to an extent, now after a while of digging into it, it's fairly simple. The people that we reach out to with properties that they own and rent, they're really doing, I'd say, one of three things. One, they've got a traditional property manager in which there's barriers to get them to get out of a contract, an agreement, things like that. Two, they may be using a competitor of ours, another software, Zillow, Avail, they're using Buildium, something like that, some of these really big products. Or three, they're just self-managing it and doing it on their own. They got Excel spreadsheets and that's all they're doing. And so depending on the source, we actually have to change our approach just very quickly to be able to be like, how is it that we actually win on each of these? I know that we haven't talked about the tech stack or anything like that yet, but we transitioned into Nooks.ai here this October. It's wicked. We have just loved working through Nooks. We saw our connection rates double just by switching tools. And so
what were you using before? What did you switch from?
We were using a tool called Flash Intel.
Okay.
Not my call. It is not a tool that I would recommend. They're fine, but their ability to really rotate in clean, non-spammy numbers to regularly just connect and have that bridge time down to sub 1 second was just not a thing. They had 2.5 second bridge time. It was disgusting.
I've used a ton of these tools, and I won't out them here, but man, like a 1.5 second bridge time is awful. And
it's useless.
Yeah. I've talked to folks and they're like, oh, no, ours is sub 1 second. I'm like, all right, let's go listen to some of my calls.
Yeah.
Here's 4 seconds. Here's 2 seconds.
Yeah. Honestly, unforgivable. In a cold calling tool, there's no way to drop your results by 75% as much as just a poor bridge time.
Unforgivable might be the wrong word, because one of those, like, we started using Nooks a few years ago and it had challenges. And so we moved off it to a different tool. And so I'm super excited because it looked like a promising tool, right? And we started, I think we were in their like beta group, but we had a ton of SDRs, and maybe it was too much for Nooks at the time. I wasn't running the project, so I can't say, but I'm really excited to take a look at it again, because like I said, like that getting sub 1 second, I don't know any parallel dialer or parallel dialer that like Nooks that is connecting folks that quickly. There's all these companies that say they are, but when you actually look at your recordings, they're not.
So this was one of the wild differences in terms of our stats. On our previous dialer, we were connecting at about 7% connect rate. Sometimes we would get up to 9. When we started with Nooks and our first month with them, our connect rate jumped to 20%.
What?
Yeah. And now get this. There were weeks where we saw it get over 30. It was disgusting. Our teams weren't getting off the phone.
No kidding.
We were talking 1 in 3 connect rates. It was unbelievable. So we saw this incredible spike in terms of connect rates from like late October into the beginning of December. And then when Christmas came around, and then when the new year came around, we actually just saw our connection rates just overall just drop down a notch. And I don't know if it's new carrier policies. I've been working with Nooks to try to see if we can get it back up. Our connect rate right now is hovering around like 12, which is still about double from what it was in our previous. 12 is good.
Yeah, but it's not 30.
It's not 30. No, it's not 30. But we had a couple months there where it was our connect rate was reliably over 20. It was unbelievable. And the guys were just on the phone absolutely all day. It was just shocking. And they're just wouldn't stop talking to people all day. As a cold caller, finishing the day hoarse, which is pretty rare.
That's hard to do. Now, if your connect rate's 30%, you must have had to slow down the number of lines. Because for those that don't know, Nooks is a power dialer, parallel dialer. It dials multiple lines at a time. So instead of just sitting there dialing one phone number, imagine yourself sitting there with 5 or 10 phones in front of you. So if your connect rate's 30% and you're dialing 3 lines, you're getting to pick up 3-4 lines, you're getting to pick up instantaneously.
Yes.
So did you have to scale down the number of lines?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we had a period of time where we were using our parallel dialer 1 call at a time.
Wow.
It was,
and
it was unbelievable. Like we're talking, they're only sitting there for 20 seconds between calls. Just boom, pick up, voicemail drop behind you, boom. So it was really impressive. And for us, for our first few months with Nooks anyway, it was wild to see. And we haven't been able to fully replicate it in 2025 yet, but we're working on that. We're working on trying to be able to enhance it. And their team has been actually just quite a joy to work with.
Fantastic. That's one of those relationships I wish I spent more time working with them, because it seemed promising, but we jumped tools quite a bit.
And I haven't tried a bunch of other dialers. My previous company, our cold call teams, we actually just ran off of Close, and Close's CRM is just so phenomenal for sales and outbound, and their connection, their dialer through Twilio is like great. Like it's really great. So we were able to, especially on the inbound or kind of the semi-cold leads, we actually were able to find that to be super effective. And we ran it there previously, but now we do need way more volume, because we are just moving through these lists. Again, we're just almost barely calling anybody a second time.
I remember we ran, and it wasn't B2C, but it felt pretty close to B2C, but we were doing calling into the construction industry. And you're calling owners of small construction companies, and everybody was text-based. there.
Yeah.
They're like you get a connect and they're like, yeah, okay, text me. Like, text me the offer, text me to this, text me to that, text me to, you all texted much?
We're finding that after we've made the initial connect, everything is fair game. We text, we email, we sequence, we everything. Of course, we find texting more and more effective as we move forward. Nooks doesn't do anything super effective for texting, so we do transition into our HubSpot world for that. It's okay. HubSpot doesn't really do a lot of good stuff for automated text, which kind of kills me. But yeah, it's okay. Ironically, my previous sales team, we were a B2B sales team that sold into the construction space, and we used text an insane amount, and it was incredibly effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember I'm pretty sure it was the client that suggested it. And I was like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, oh no, it's fair game here. Okay.
That's wild.
It beats walking onto job sites. Like one of my first sales jobs, I was selling diesel generators, like selling rental diesel generators. And like, you had to go walk onto the job site and be like, hey, can I see the plans? Do you guys need any temporary power? And like the number of sites I got chased off of or kicked off of, or a text would have been so much easier.
It scales pretty good too. Yeah, it scales pretty good. Yeah, no, we haven't really dug in on it too much. Again, largely because of tooling, and also just I'd say a little bit of spam caution when you're in the B2C space, because these people this is their personal contact numbers. And typically the way that you're actually like getting them through some of these sources is like, you're enriching them multiple times over. Getting it wrong can actually be incredibly punishing for deliverability. So, yeah, totally. We just hammer the dials, man. Hammer the dials.
Makes sense. Talk to me about the messaging. Talk to me about the scripts. So how do you go about doing that with such a high volume of calls? The script is the most important thing, or must be.
Totally. And I touched on it a little bit earlier, where what we do is we try with our lead sourcing to be able to identify the most likely path that they're already using. And we use the very common, famous, hey, this is a cold call. I know I caught you at a bad time, but do you have a few seconds for me to let you know why we're reaching out? And for us, we're able to then leverage the fact we actually have a little bit of data on them and say, we understand you own this property, and I'm assuming that you're actually managing it as a rental. Does that ring a bell? It's great. I'm not interested in buying it. We're not interested in selling it. And we are not interested in objection. And then immediately just go, this is how we differentiate ourselves. And we think for somebody like you, it'd just be an amazing fit. And we've found that what's interesting is usually, like, I come from a very consultative sales background where it's like, hey, how are things going with your rental property? How are things working? And we've actually found that causes a lot of pain, where if we listen to our objections effectively, where they're like, no, I'm not interested in a property manager. No, I'm not interested in this. And we immediately make sure that our scripting is just diffusing those things out of the gate, and then just saying, this is who we are based on what our customers have told us that they're actually interested in having a conversation about. We actually start by diffusing, which is wild. Previously, it was like, that would be not great sales practice, but we diffused because of how saturated the market is and because of how hammered these people are by calls generally.
I don't know if I think that's a perfectly valid cold call strategy, B2C or B2C or B2B. You're leading with the, like, congratulations, you picked up a cold call. You ask for permission? Do you have a couple seconds? I love that, especially if you're a little bit cheeky and the other person's a little bit cheeky on the other end. You're like, we can have a little fun here. But then you're leading, if they say yes, you're leading with an accusation audit, which you're like, hey, you're going to think we're X, Y, and Z. We're not that. This is it helps clarify, because I've called B2C for an investment advisor, and you can get caught up in objection handling, and people are going on stories and telling you this and telling you that. You're like, this is a 6-minute long objection.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I was like, oh man, I was like, Chris Voss would be proud of that call out there from you. I was like, man, the accusation audit. Like, we absolutely try to be able to lean in with a little bit of that charm. One thing that we actually do, which is a little fun. So I run the office in Calgary, up in Canada. However, we are a San Francisco-based tech company, and my entire sales team is up here in Calgary. So we really tell them to lean on the Canadian sauce. We tell them, hey, bud, just make sure you're using that Canadian accent hard. And sometimes those Americans just find it way too charming. They might as well think that we're an Irishman. They might as well think, hey, how are you now? Did I catch you at a bad time? And sometimes I think they clap. Sometimes I think that they get excited and think we're going to offer them Lucky Charms or something like that.
Let me ship you some maple syrup, eh?
How about we send you a hockey puck, some maple syrup, and a goose?
I can hear it coming out. I feel like I'm on This Hour is 22 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And so honestly, like sometimes we just like lace into the accent hard, just so that we can be able to be a little bit different, a little bit easier to connect. And just get those extra few seconds. Because sometimes it just takes that to get them to think, to be able to say, hey, we're not doing this, we do this. Is that something that like you got a little bit of time to talk about? Boom. And then from there, our team just pours on the value to be like, we do this. And they'll like spray. Some of it is like borderline spray and pray at times, but it's trying to be able to communicate that it's, hey, we've got this massive suite of functionality and features and service that is unlike anything else on the market. And they're just like, so you like boots on the ground everywhere in the United States? They're like, how do you manage 24/7 repair coordination from the phone? Like, how do you guys do that? And then you start having these really fascinating, got you.
Yeah.
Which is really
this is one of those cases where you want to get to why this call is relevant so quickly that you're almost like, I normally don't like a fastball sales pitch where you're just like, guy, a couple seconds, cool. Accusation audit, value prop, question. And that's your script goes like probably 60, 90 seconds. And then normally I want to get a little more back and forth. But I think with this, because you're almost using that initial accusation audit and that value prop to filter, you're doing the other person a favor because you're not going to go ask them and try and build pain and try and find this and try and find that. You're like, hey, is this something that is relevant to you right now? I think it is.
Totally.
Is it? Yes. Great. And consumers have a lot less patience than say, I don't know, somebody B2B.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is, so for me, I'm a Canadian, no surprise. But I also am a landlord. I know. So I actually own some rental properties in Calgary, and I very much am our ICP. If we were in Canada, I'd be using the product, but we're not in Canada. So one of the things that is interesting is that for me as a Canadian, my pain points as a landlord are relatable, but not entirely the same as what they are with Americans. So for example, the banking system in Canada is so concentrated that we have Interac e-transfer, free way that everybody gets paid and things like that. Down in the United States, they've got this sort of a bank-to-bank payment system, ACH, but it isn't as ubiquitous and it hasn't been around as long. And so one of the big differentiators that we do is we allow landlords to be able to collect rent for zero fees. And if you think about them using Venmo or things like that, zero fees, true zero fees, is actually a new concept in the United States. And so for us to be
even
able to...
Wise is pretty expensive, or not pretty expensive compared to free, put it that way.
100%.
It's great.
Pretty expensive compared to free, but it's still, you're going to be talking half a point or something like that. And when somebody's got 10 rental properties and there's $2,000-3,000 per, you're talking about real money on a monthly basis. So that concept is interesting. It would never resonate with Canadians. It would never work in the Canadian market, being able to say, hey, how about you get automated rent collection for free? In Canada, they'd be like, we get e-transfer, man. What are you talking about? Do you just set up an automated e-transfer? And the answer is yes. But down in the United States, they don't have Interac e-transfer. They've got actually ACH. So as a result, it's actually been taking some learning to be able to make sure that we're not putting our own cultural bias on things, because the ways that they run properties and even the legality around how many properties they can run and how is wildly different. Like in Canada, pretty hard to own more than 6 mortgages. Down in the United States, 15, no big deal. Depending on the state, there's some people who have 40. And they're just like, they are just crushing it. Being able to have these amazing portfolios of rentals that us Canadians would drool over and wish that we could have. It's interesting. Okay. It's a different context, and these people are very serious about what they do. And our messaging and the way that we try to connect, we always have to almost do a bit of a cultural back check to be like, hey, with our San Francisco office and be, hey, how does this sound? How does this connect? How does this land? And they'll be like, no, we don't do that at all. And we'll be like, oh, idiots.
Cool.
You know?
Oh, it's a bout, not a boot? Oh.
It's a boot. Oh, no.
Yeah.
that for sure cost us some connects.
Yeah. So you need some more cold call trading in there. Yeah. Guys, we're doing a role play right now. Bring the maple syrup.
Bring the maple syrup. Bring the hockey stick. All right. Okay. Now frame up. Let's go. Oh,
Brandon, it's been amazing having you on the show. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
LinkedIn's the best. Yeah. Find me, Brandon Healy, on LinkedIn. Love to connect. Love to be able to chat anything about sales or rental property management, you name it, or nerding out over RevOps stuff. Always trying to scale teams.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll throw a link to your LinkedIn in the show notes.
Thanks for the conversation. This has been great, Collin.
Absolutely. And thanks to everybody for listening. Take off, you hosers.